So, I always had knowledge about the Holocaust. When I was just a few months old, I understood that something terrible happened, and that the person involved in taking care of me was the person who caused it. It's shocking. It's so shocking that when you're at the center of it and right in the middle of it, you don't fully understand it and you feel it's better just to pretend it's not there, and your subconscious saves you and you repress it. And so I went through my life always somehow knowing that I was connected to the Holocaust, but I wasn't able to put it into words. How do I tell someone I know someone who caused the Holocaust, but they're not in prison? Instead, it's an old lady that gives lectures on mystical wisdom and has healing powers. Dora Kunz. She needs to be recognized. She was in charge of Anna Nerbe. That is the German think tank. She is basically the intelligence for the Nazis. She was the superior. Yeah. This whole time, Dora was the superior. There's always been a code name called Dora. The historians, I'm sorry, you didn't research it enough. You had all this time. It's 2024. You did not give a precise or even an analytic or even a hypothesis as to what Dora could be from. We assumed that this Dora Kunz was just a minor figure and didn't have any significance in regards to Thule. We assumed that she just died in 1923, the same year as Dietrich Eckhart. But don't you see that that was a way to conceal her by saying that she was dead? She said she was dead. And so when I was a child, I remember her laughing. And it was disturbing, because I remember her laughing and saying, "I'm so old that I died in 1923. I knew she was evil. I knew she was evil. Why is it that an evil person was involved in the care of me? And yet she was somehow supposed to be a redemptive soul. That in the corridors of the Theosophical Society, in that small group, we were all calling for her redemption. And viewing her as just a human being, as a little girl caught up in this big mess of having to stop the rise of communism. But this soul mission of having a higher destiny and not understanding what you're fighting for, she ended up making enemies of people who were so innocent. So innocent. Jewish people are not communists. And even though some Jewish people might be communists, that doesn't mean you kill anybody. Killing is wrong, whether you're communist or not. It's wrong to kill somebody, especially on difference of political opinions. So, after World War I, the battle wasn't over for her. She had to continue this mission of stopping the spread of communism, even if that means finding a party, such as the Nazi Party, to do the work to make sure that communists will not be in power. Thule was an anti-communist organization, first and foremost, and it was anti-Jewish second. Jewish people, sadly, some of them were involved in the finding of the Nazi Party. They were National Jews, early supporters of Hitler. So it wasn't always about getting all the Jews, but just those bad Jews. And then it becomes a slippery slope, and it's all the Jews. That's why the Nazis became a blind killing machine, because it was founded on such an illogical basis. They just wanted to stop the spread of communism, but in doing so, they caused so much destruction, so much suffering, so many deaths. I can sit with you right now and say that the number one victim of the 20th century, it was communists. Communists were killed all throughout the 20th century, whether by their own regimes or by other regimes. So don't you see, when you say that 50 million people died in Mao's famine because it was a communist regime that didn't know how to properly manage an economy? Such a blanketed statement. You're also encapsulating the fact that 50 million communists died, because many of them were supporters, or proxies that were supportive of communism. So the story of World War II is a story of fascism versus communism, and Jews caught in between. Sadly, it's a story that needs to be told from the very beginning, starting with the Russian Civil War, because the whites, those supporting the Romanov dynasty that got kicked out of power and the Bolsheviks replaced them, those people, they went to Harpin, Manchuria, and established the Nazi stronghold. And so they play a role in establishing Thule as well. There is a deep connection, because Dora was part of the White Army. She was a little girl that had to ask for donations for the Helena Blavatsky soup kitchen for people that were starving during the Russian Civil War. So at a young age, she was given a soul mission. So she needs to be recognized as Hitler's superior, because she played a role the entire time. And I'm here to focus on Kathy later, because Kathy Beer Bomber, she was able to command the Holocaust from internment in Great Britain. Doesn't it make sense now that those rockets weren't hit in Britain? Yes, they were doing the Blitzkrieg and the air raids, but Hitler never used his V weapons. He never used his most powerful weapons for a reason. It's because Dora didn't let him. Dora had to secure a future for herself as well. So there was constant talk between Wallace and Dora, because both of them are part of the Theosophical Society, and that was used as a vessel for communication. So there were wartime peace talks and wartime limitations. And part of those limitations is that refugees fleeing Europe, Jews fleeing the Nazis, they were not allowed transport. They were not allowed to enter America or Australia. Ships were sent back, and ships were held up in the middle of the ocean. Railroads of the Holocaust were not allowed to be bombed as part of these hidden peace talks. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart so bad, because I care so much about people, and I'm stumbling on my words because I just want to express the feelings through my eyes. Believe me when I tell you, Dora Kunz, this is just the beginning of her crimes, because if she could get away with the Holocaust, she could get away with more than that too. So please, I grew up with someone who was named after a concentration camp. And then when it came time to the trial, to the actual Dora trial, and everyone was saying, "Where's Dora?" Dora was nowhere to be found. Want to know why? Because people were saying Dora was going to go on trial, and then they would say, "Why isn't she here yet?" And they said she will be here, because that's why the trial is named Dora. She hid in plain sight. We have to acknowledge it once and for all, that Dora Kunz is Hitler's superior. And I am the one to say it.